Broken Trust, Torn Hearts. Part 1. The Fallout. Amelia and Mark had been married for 5 years. Their love story seemed straight out of a romance novel. Mark was a successful architect and Amelia was a dedicated nurse. However, beneath the surface, their relationship faced burgeoning problems. The pressures of life took a toll on them, and soon Mark turned to alcohol to cope with the stress. After a series of events that spiraled out of control, harsh arguments, broken promises, and a series of unfortunate incidents, Amelia decided it was time for Mark to seek help. She encouraged him to enter a rehabilitation program. With a heavy heart, Mark agreed, realizing he needed a change. It was a tough but necessary decision for both of them. During the early weeks of Mark's rehab stint, Amelia felt a mix of hope and fear. She devoted herself to supporting him, visiting him during family days, and making sure he knew he wasn't alone. However, she was also struggling. The loneliness and emotional stress became increasingly overwhelming for her. Part 2. The Betrayal. Around the 4th week of Mark's treatment, Amelia met a friend, Lucas, at a local support group meeting for families of addicts. They began talking, and initially it felt good for her to share her experiences. However, as weeks went by, what started as a friendship turned into something more. Amelia found comfort in Lucas, and before she knew it, emotional boundaries blurred. One night, in a moment of weakness, she cheated on Mark. The guilt consumed her. Yet she rationalized it, telling herself that Mark was the one with the problem, and she needed support too. What began as a betrayal of trust would soon lead her to immense heartache. While Mark was in rehabilitation, his journey was fraught with challenges, but also moments of triumph and self-discovery. He started to acknowledge and confront his issues, diligently attending therapy sessions and support groups. He often spoke with hope about their future and how he envisioned a fresh start for their marriage once he finished his program. Part 3. The Confrontation. The day finally came when Mark completed his rehab program. He was filled with gratitude and positivity. He felt it was time to reconnect with Amelia and share their journey ahead. However, he sensed something was off. The warm welcome he expected was replaced with a distant demeanor from her. Amelia's secret weighed on her heavily. They talked about his progress and plans for their future, but Amelia felt a knot in her stomach. Eventually, she could no longer hide her guilt and confessed everything. "Mark, I made a terrible mistake," she stammered, tears streaming down her face. "While you were away, I was lonely. I cheated on you." The moment hung in the air, dense with unspoken words. Mark felt as if the ground had fallen beneath him. The pain was immediate and visceral. His world crumbled around him. How could she do this to him after everything he had been through? Part 4. The decision Mark was left grappling with a whirlwind of emotions: betrayal, anger, sadness, and confusion. Yet deep down, there was still love. Mark had fought so hard to reclaim his life and had hoped to rebuild his marriage. Now, facing the stark reality of Amelia's infidelity, he questioned whether it was possible to move forward. Amelia pleaded for another chance. "I know I shattered our trust, but I love you, and I want to work this out. I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Mark pondered for days. One crucial question lingered in his mind. Would he be able to forgive her and himself? He sought advice from his therapist and was encouraged to reflect on his own healing process, which hadn't been easy. The therapist reminded him that rebuilding takes time and that it's essential to prioritize his own well-being. Part 5. Healing Together. After much deliberation, Mark made his decision. He told Amelia that while he loved her, rebuilding their relationship would require honest communication, therapy for both of them, and an unwavering commitment to healing. They embarked on couples therapy, navigating the complex emotions of betrayal, regret, and love. Slowly, they began to face difficult conversations. Mark, at times, was overwhelmed with anger, while Amelia struggled with her guilt. It was painful, but necessary. They set new boundaries and learned to communicate more openly than ever before. Conclusion: a new beginning. As months passed, there were still ups and downs. Trust wasn't rebuilt overnight, but with consistent effort and patience they began to heal. While the scars of Amelia's infidelity would always remain, they learned to cope and support each other. Mark had undergone a transformation of his own, embracing sobriety and finding new ways to manage stress without resorting to substances. Amelia found ways to be more supportive of Mark, prioritizing their relationship and working through her own challenges. Part 2. The Aftermath. The days that followed the discovery in the bedroom were a blur of raw emotions and difficult conversations. Daniel and I tiptoed around each other, the air between us thick with unspoken words and unresolved pain. Evelyn, too, became a ghost in our lives, present but distant, a reminder of the fragile ties that bound us all. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room, Daniel broke the silence. "We need to talk," he said, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest, and sat down across from him. "I know I hurt you," he began, his eyes searching mine. "And I can't begin to explain how sorry I am. But Evelyn and we needed that moment. Clara was our daughter, and losing her felt like losing a part of ourselves. I needed to grieve with someone who understood that." I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm of emotions swirling inside me. "I understand that," I said, slowly. "But it felt like you shut me out, like I wasn't enough to help you through this." Daniel reached for my hand, his touch warm but tentative. "You are enough," he said firmly. "But grief, it's complicated. It doesn't always make sense. I didn't mean to hurt you, but I needed to face my pain in a way that felt right, for me." His words struck a chord deep within me. I realized then that grief is not a linear journey. It is messy and unpredictable, and it affects everyone differently. Daniel and Evelyn had shared a unique bond through Clara, and their grief was intertwined in ways I could never fully comprehend. But that didn't mean I was excluded from their pain. It just meant I had to find my own way to navigate it. A new understanding over time, Daniel and I began to rebuild the trust that had been fractured. We attended counseling sessions together, where we learned to communicate openly about our feelings and fears. It wasn't easy. There were moments of anger, tears, and frustration, but we committed to the process, determined to emerge stronger on the other side. Evelyn, too, became a part of our healing journey. We began to meet occasionally, the three of us, to share stories about Clara and celebrate her life. At first, it was awkward and painful, but gradually we found solace in each other's company. Evelyn and I discovered that we had more in common than we had realized: our love for Clara, our shared grief, and our desire to honor her memory. One afternoon, as we sat together in the backyard beneath the tree we had planted in Clara's honor, Evelyn turned to me with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, "for letting me be a part of this, for not shutting me out." I reached for her hand, feeling a sense of connection that I hadn't expected. "Clara brought us together," I replied. "It's only right that we honor her by supporting each other." Moving forward, as the months passed, the sharp edges of our grief began to soften. The pain of Clara's absence never fully disappeared, but it became more bearable, like a scar that we carried with us. Daniel and I grew closer, our bond strengthened by the trials we had faced together. We learned to lean on each other, to find joy in the small moments, and to keep Clara's memory alive in our hearts. Evelyn remained a part of our lives. a testament to the enduring power of love and loss. We celebrated Clara's birthday together, visited her favorite places, and even started a scholarship in her name to support young artists. In doing so, we found a way to channel our grief into something meaningful, something that would keep Clara's spirit alive. The tree. The tree we planted in Clara's honor became a symbol of our journey. It started as a small sapling, fragile and vulnerable, but over time it grew strong and resilient, its branches reaching toward the sky. We would often sit beneath it, the three of us, sharing stories and memories, finding comfort in its shade. One evening, as the sun set and the stars began to appear, Daniel turned to me with a smile. "She would have loved this," he said, his voice filled with quiet warmth. "She always loved the stars." I nodded, feeling a sense of peace settle over me. "She's still with us," I replied, "in the tree, in the stars, in our hearts." And in that moment, I realized that while Clara's physical presence was gone, her spirit lived on in the love we shared and the memories we cherished. Our story was not one of endings, but of new beginnings, a testament to the resilience of the human heart and the enduring power of love. New beginnings as the years passed. The pain of Clara's absence became a quiet companion, a part of us that we carried with grace and resilience. The tree we planted in her honor grew tall and strong, its roots deep and its branches wide, a living testament to her enduring spirit. It became a place of reflection, a sanctuary, where we could go to feel close to her, to remember her laughter, her dreams, and the love she had brought into our lives. Daniel and I continued to build our life together, finding joy in the simple moments, a shared cup of coffee in the morning, a walk in the park at sunset, the quiet comfort of each other's presence. Our love had been tested by grief, but it had also been strengthened by it. We learned to cherish each other in ways we hadn't before, to appreciate the fragility and beauty of life. Evelyn, too, found her own path forward. She moved to a small town by the sea, a place Clara had always loved, and opened a little art studio where she taught children to paint and draw. It was a way for her to honor Clara's memory, to pass on the love of art that had been such a big part of their lives. She would visit us occasionally, and those visits became a cherished tradition, a time for us to reconnect and remember. A surprise one spring afternoon, as the first buds of the season began to appear on Clara's tree, Evelyn arrived at our house, with a sparkle in her eyes and a secret she could barely contain. "I have something to tell you," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. Daniel and I exchanged a curious glance, and Evelyn took a deep breath before continuing. "I've met someone," she said, her cheeks flushing with color. "His name is Thomas, and he's wonderful. He makes me happy." Tears welled up in my eyes as I pulled her into a tight embrace. "I'm so happy for you," I said. My voice choked with emotion. "You deserve this." Daniel smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "Clara would be thrilled," he said. "She always wanted you to be happy." Evelyn's relationship with Thomas brought a new sense of joy and hope into our lives. He was a kind and gentle man with a love for art and a deep appreciation for the beauty of the world. He fit seamlessly into our little family, and it wasn't long before he became a beloved part of our lives. A new chapter as the years went by. Our family continued to grow and evolve. Daniel and I decided to adopt a child, a little girl named Lily, who had a spark of creativity and a love for life that reminded us so much of Clara. She brought a new sense of purpose and joy into our home, her laughter filling the halls and her artwork covering the walls. Evelyn and Thomas married in a small, intimate ceremony by the sea, with Daniel and I by their side. It was a day filled with love and laughter, a celebration of new beginnings and the enduring power of hope. As we stood together, watching the sun set over the water, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey we had shared and the love that had carried us through. The tree's wisdom. One evening, as we gathered beneath Clara's tree to celebrate Lily's birthday, I found myself reflecting on the journey we had taken. The tree had grown tall and strong, its branches reaching toward the sky, a symbol of resilience and growth. It had witnessed our tears, our laughter, our moments of despair and hope. I reached out and touched the rough bark, feeling a sense of connection to Clara that transcended time and space. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice barely audible, "for teaching us how to love, how to grieve, and how to find beauty in the world." Daniel joined me, his hand resting on my shoulder. "She's always with us," he said, his voice filled with quiet certainty. "In the tree, in the stars, in our hearts." Evelyn and Thomas stood nearby, their arms wrapped around each other, their faces radiant with joy. Lily ran around the tree, her laughter echoing through the air, a reminder of the new life and love that had blossomed from our shared journey, a legacy of loves. The years continued to pass. Clara's legacy lived on in the lives she had touched. Her art was displayed in galleries, her poems published in books, and her memory honored in countless ways. But more than that, her spirit lived on in the love and connection she had inspired in all of us. We had learned to find meaning in our loss, to create something beautiful out of our pain. We had learned to lean on each other, to find strength in our shared grief, and to celebrate the moments of joy that life offered. And as we stood together beneath Clara's tree, surrounded by the people we loved, I knew that her legacy was not just in her art or her words, but in the love and connection she had inspired in all of us. Her memory was a thread that bound us together, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable loss, there is hope, there is beauty, and there is light. The passage of time. Years turned into decades, and the world around us changed in ways we could never have imagined. The tree we planted for Clara grew into a majestic presence, its branches stretching wide and its roots deep, a living testament to the love and resilience that had carried us through. It became a gathering place for our family, a symbol of the enduring connection we shared. Lily, our adopted daughter, grew into a vibrant young woman, her creativity and passion for life a constant source of joy and inspiration. She pursued a career in the arts, her talent and dedication a reflection of the love and support she had received from her family. She often spoke of Clara, her big sister in spirit, and the ways in which Clara's memory had shaped her life. Evelyn and Thomas continued to live by the sea, their love for each other and for art a constant source of happiness. They became mentors to young artists, their studio a haven for creativity and expression. They visited us often, their presence a reminder of the bonds that had been forged through love and loss. Daniel and I grew older, our hair streaked with silver and our faces lined with the marks of time. But our love for each other remained as strong as ever, a testament to the resilience of the human heart. We continued to find joy in the simple moments. A shared cup of tea in the morning, a walk in the park at sunset, the quiet comfort of each other's presence. A new challenge. One autumn afternoon, as the leaves turned golden and the air grew crisp, Daniel received a diagnosis that shook us to our core. It was a reminder of the fragility of life, a challenge that tested our strength and resolve. We faced it together, as we had faced everything else. Daniel's quiet strength and unwavering determination were a source of inspiration, and I did everything I could to support him. We leaned on each other, our love a source of comfort and strength. Evelyn and Thomas were there for us, their support a reminder of the bonds that had been forged through love and loss. Lily, too, was a constant source of strength, her love and determination a reflection of the family she had grown up in. The tree's embrace. As Daniel's health declined, we spent more and more time beneath Clara's tree, the place where we had found solace and strength so many times before. It became a sanctuary, a place where we could reflect on the journey we had shared and the love that had carried us through. One evening, as the sun set and the stars began to appear, Daniel turned to me with a smile. "Do you remember the day we planted this tree?" he asked, his voice soft and filled with emotion. I nodded, tears welling up in my eyes. "I remember," I replied. "It was a day of hope, a day of new beginnings." Daniel reached for my hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "Clara would be proud of us," he said, "of the life we've built, the love we've shared, the family we've created." I nodded, my heart swelling with pride and sorrow. "She's always with us," I replied, "in the tree, in the stars, in our hearts." A legacy of love. Daniel's passing was a profound loss, a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of love. But even in our grief, we found strength in the bonds that had been forged through love and loss. We leaned on each other, our love a source of comfort and strength. Evelyn and Thomas were there for me, their support a reminder of the bonds that had been forged through love and loss. Lily, too, was a constant source of strength, her love and determination a reflection of the family she had grown up in. We continued to honor Clara's memory, her legacy a source of inspiration and hope. The tree we had planted for her remained, a symbol of the love and resilience that had carried us through, a reminder of the enduring power of love. The tree's wisdom. One evening, as I sat beneath Clara's tree, I found myself reflecting on the journey we had taken. The tree had grown tall and strong, its branches reaching toward the sky, a symbol of resilience and growth. It had witnessed our tears, our laughter, our moments of despair and hope. I reached out and touched the rough bark, feeling a sense of connection to Clara and Daniel that transcended time and space. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice barely audible, "for teaching us how to love, how to grieve, and how to find beauty in the world." Evelyn and Thomas joined me, their presence a reminder of the bonds that had been forged through love and loss. Lily stood nearby, her face radiant with joy and determination, a reflection of the love and support she had received from her family. A legacy of love. As the years continued to pass, Clara's legacy lived on in the lives she had touched. Her art was displayed in galleries, her poems published in books, and her memory honored in countless ways. But more than that, her spirit lived on in the love and connection she had inspired in all of us.